Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Masdul with Goddess Order video, and in this video I want to talk about the tier list and reroll target for grand launch of Goddess Order. Okay, without further ado, I don't want to make this video too long. Let's go to the content. Alright, so for the past 3 months, I already played Goddess Order in early access, and I got everyone at level 60 max already. But in this tier list, I will base every character at a no dupe character, but also consider the potential of the character with more dupes. So that's the base that I will use. Alright, now let's start with the SSR character first. Alright, first we have Leticia. Leticia is a Thunder Slayer, which is a burst DPS. She can deal massive damage within short amount of time, but the problem is she's most of the time only good at bosses and not on the mob, so she's not that flexible. But Leticia also the strongest PvP character currently, and you might not want to meet anyone with max out Leticia in PvP because she can demolish your whole team alone. For damage alone, Leticia get S for PvE and S plus for PvP, and for reroll it's a no for Leticia. Next up is Scarlet, which is a fire DPS. And Scarlet is the best starter for newbies to clear up Goddess Order content, since her ridiculous AoE can delete anything in between her gun and the laser. And she's really easy to play and just pew pew damage and destroy your enemy. But she's really bad for PvP, so don't use Scarlet in PvP. Scarlet gets S plus for PvE and A for PvP. As for reroll, yes, any newbie need to get Scarlet. She will help you a lot. Next up is starter breaker Roan. So Roan is one of the characters that have really complete skill kit from healing, debuff, or breaking. Also he deal a decent amount of damage as a breaker, but his main attraction is that he's the strongest breaker in the game currently. Particularly, he's really strong in PvP. And if you build him correctly, you can one-shot enemy within a short amount of time in PvP. Also, not just one enemy, but maybe 2 or 3 enemy in succession. Roan gets an A for PvE and S plus for PvP. As for reroll, I don't recommend to reroll for Roan. Next up is Windslayer Fentchella. Fentchella specializes in single target combat, and mostly it's a boss DPS. And she's easier to play than Leticia that need positioning, because Fentchella arrow only target one enemy, that mark or the nearest enemy. Using Fentchella at early game is excruciating because the lack of the AoE, which makes her really not preferable for newbie, that is. Fentchella also good in PvP, but not as good as Leticia because Fentchella got so many hard counters in PvP. So yeah, her score might be a little bit lower for that. Fentchella gets S for PvE and S for PvP. As for reroll, I would say maybe if you like her design. So maybe, okay? Next up is the first and the only SSR support that we have is Dana, which is fire element. She's a attack buffer, critical damage buffer, also fire damage buffer, and mostly used with Scarlet and to support her. But she is considered universal support either way, and her attack buff is just massive that you don't really care about solidarity skill if you have Dana basically. The only thing that Dana don't excel is healing. Dana can heal, but only in her ultimate. Also, her link gauge generation is relatively lower than other support character. Dana gets S for PvE and A for PvP just because her damage is really good and she can handle or take damage for the team. As for reroll, I would say optional because you can choose and pick her in a beginner banner with 10 pull, or you can try to get U1 dupe, unlock 1 dupe for her. Alright, the last one is a newest addition in early access, which is a water trickster named Claren. So Claren is a DPS trickster, and trickster have either a support type or a DPS, and Claren is a DPS type one. Just like Scarlet, Claren is really good for newbies because she basically have a built-in debuff that make enemy take more often critical hit, also take more water damage and take increased critical damage from her. To mention, also Claren have so many AoE in her kit, like a slash projectile and circular slash. Just like Scarlet, Claren suffers same fate that basically she's not that good in PvP, but for being an SSR character, of course, she's good than most SR characters. Claren gets S+ for PvE and A for PvP. Also, for reroll, absolutely yes. Before we go to the SR character placement, there will be a new SSR character, which is a Water Slayer, and she will be the Grand Launch banner, Global Launch banner. And I will make a separate video for her and her review and her tier placement in a different video.
도울게요. 지금 가요. 하! 루나라고 불러줘. 지금은 그냥 마법사거든. 차가운 얼음처럼 추위가 밀려올 거야. 만년설의 얼음이여. 추위는 잠시뿐이야. 위카츠의 겨울을 지금 이곳에 봄을 부르는 겨울이 될 수 있기를. 가디스 오더.
Alright, for the SR character, I'll do really quick summary of the character and I'll give the tier score for them. And I will just make it a little bit faster the video so it won't take too much time for the SR because we have really a lot of SR character here. First SR we have Sibila. Sibila is an Earth Slayer and she's one of my favorite character because of her gameplay. I really love her gameplay. As you can see here, she's really agile. She have some kind of invincibility that you may dodge one damage every time you trigger her skill, and although she can really compete with SSR DPS, she is still the best SR DPS to the date. Also, because of that particular dodge mechanic, Sibila also pretty good in PvP. For that, Sibila gets A in both PvP and PvE. Next up is Katy Perry. So yeah, we have a nickname for Katy. Katy is a Thunder Breaker and she's a parry queen. Her PvE capability isn't that good because, you know, her break is pretty bad compared to the other SR breaker, but she is undoubtedly one of the best PvP character, especially since she's SR. She can counter most of the character, especially SSR, like Fentchella, like Roan, even Leticia to some degree. So yeah, she's pretty much a PvE character. Katy gets C in PvE and S for PvP. Next is Sarah, a Windbreaker. She's pretty much like Katy, really good at PvP but not that good at PvE. But compared to Katy, Sarah has a redeeming trait in PvE, that her Link skill is really good, that where she throws hammer when she's Link, and those hammer really have a good break value that help the team break the enemy faster. For that, Sarah get B for PvE and S for PvP. Grace, a water support, and I'll just make it short. She's the best support in the game currently. Heal so much, buff attack so much, also can double your buff duration, that's it. Grace is a must to build. If you can get her dupe ASAP, that's all I can say. Maybe except that you shouldn't use her at PvP because Grace is useless in PvP. Grace get S for PvE and C for PvP. Next is Earthbreaker, the Goblin Slayer himself, Gilbert. After testing Gilbert over and over, I thought he was really good in PvP at least. but because of his kit mechanic, his parry capabilities begin questionable because he need to spend all of his energy, but when he spend all of his energy, he is prone to a guard break that will make him stagger and stun basically. So yeah, in PvE he's not that great here because of his kit need maximum gauge to deal maximum damage, but he's not a DPS, right? So yeah, Gilbert got B in both PvP and PvE for me. Next is Thunder Fighter Tia. I'll just cut it short. She's trash and you get her for free. Don't build her. You'll regret. That's all I can say. She's a bad DPS. She's just bad and she's bugged. That's all. Yeah. Tia gets B for both PvE and PvP. Next is our star character, Firebreaker John. So John is the opposite of Gilbert. While Gilbert have really big damage, his break is not that good. But John have low damage but really good break. So they're pretty much the same, usable trash. Not that good or not that bad either, but still usable. I give John B for PvP and PvE too, just like Gilbert. Next is Fire Trickster Etna. So I'll just cut it short. For me, Etna is the worst character, so I'm a little bit biased here. But yeah, you will know what I mean when you play Etna. She's just feels really bad to use. Neither did she have a good redeeming quality about the character. I mean the character kit, not the character itself, but yeah. And Etna gets C for both PvP and PvE. Next is Wind Trickster Dionis. So he's basically the Spider-Man in Goddess Order. He have a really good kit, a really good survivability because of that, a guaranteed dodge when he's spinning. Also tons of DOT, and his solidarity skill is a team-wide buff for critical rate, which is really good, and he's also cool. Despite having a pretty good kit that support his PvP capability, his logic or AI in PvP is not that good. Yeah, sadly. Dionis got A for PvE and B for PvP. Next is another star character, Thunder Trickster Violet. So Violet is similar to Dionis, right? So she's a support trickster, but the only difference from Violet and Dionis is that Dionis have more survivability and buff, while Violet is more of a debuff and link generator for the team. So that's the only difference, but they work similar with their multiple hit that goes well with a certain accessory in the game. But for PvP, just don't use her. She's really bad in PvP. Violet gets A for PvE and C for PvP. Next is Wind Fighter Fiki. So basically, Fiki is a bad list bet, and the game already give you SSR list bet with free dupes, and just don't bother build Fiki. Fiki is slow and doesn't deal much damage because her kit, as you can see, she spin too long and deal so little damage compared to list bet. Fiki gets C on both PvE and PvP. War support, the Alchemist Olivet. Olivet is pretty similar to Grace, but she's cater more to a mono water team because she buff water damage, also buff attack and heal. Although the heal is not as big as Grace, she also have a good synergy skill, but due to the niche and not so general usage, she's limited in use for other team. Also in general, we don't use support, especially healer in PvP, so yeah, she doesn't have place in PvP. Olivet get A for PvE and C for PvP. Last but not least, we have Aragon, Earth Trickster and the second best SR DPS in the game. He's pretty much like Claren, that the more debuff Aragon inflict, the more damage he can deal to the enemy. But that's all he can do, just like Claren, just damage all the way even though he's a trickster. But in PvP, Aragon is really good, even better than Claren, that because he can parry enemy and take 0 damage from the enemy during his stance, basically, and he deals so much damage. Aragon gets B for PvE and A for PvP. Alright guys, so this is the final lineup of the tier list for PvE and PvP. I hope you guys enjoy the video and find this informative. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And also check my other Goddess Order video. I have some gameplay and guide for Goddess Trail. You will need that Goddess Trail guide because you'll find it hard to find those Goddess Trail. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on my next video for Luna at the global launch. Bye bye. See you next time.